Let me tell you, this isn't just a story about some football player. It's a story about pure obsession, about defying the odds, and about how a kid with absolutely nothing became one of the most famous people on the planet. But you want to know the craziest part? He was never, ever supposed to make it. It all starts right here. Just a skinny kid on an island most people have never heard of. No money in his pocket, no safety net, no backup plan. All he had was this dream that, let's be honest, seemed completely impossible to pretty much everyone. I mean, can you imagine? There were nights he would literally cry himself to sleep, just feeling totally alone, wondering if he was ever going to escape the life he was born into. That doubt, it was real and it was absolutely crushing. But here's a thought. What if all those things stacked against him were exactly what he needed? What if the universe decided he was never supposed to succeed in the first place? So, to really understand the legend, you have to go all the way back to the beginning, back to a little island and a very big dream. You gotta understand, the pressure on this kid was just immense from day one. He was born into poverty on the Portuguese island of Madeira. I'm talking his entire family sharing a single room. His dad struggled with alcoholism. So for Ronaldo, football, it wasn't just a game. It was his only way out. And that desperation, that became the fuel for everything. And then, at just 12 years old, he makes a decision that changes his entire life. He leaves his family, leaves the only home he's ever known, and moves to the mainland, to Lisbon, by himself. Think about the guts that takes for a 12-year-old kid. So he gets to Lisbon, and life at the football academy, it was brutal. The other kids made fun of his thick island accent. They laughed right in his face. But he didn't fight back with words. He didn't break down. No. He took all that hurt and he aimed it right at the football pitch. He just trained. And then he trained some more. It was an obsession. He was building this foundation of pure, raw will. But just as he started to climb, that whole foundation was about to get rocked to its core. Right when he was finally starting to make a name for himself, his entire dream was nearly shattered. This next part of the story, this is the moment his career, and maybe even his life, was just hanging by a thread. He was diagnosed with tachycardia. It's a racing heart condition. And look, this wasn't some minor setback. This was the kind of thing that ends careers before they even begin. The doctors told him he might never play at a high level. Everything he'd sacrificed, everything he'd worked for, it was all about to just vanish. So he's at this massive crossroads. The only real option was a risky laser surgery on his heart. Just days after the operation, he's cleared to play, and he is right back on that training ground. He didn't just recover. He came back with this fire, this even more relentless drive. It was like he'd been given a second chance, and he refused to waste a single second of it. And then came the moment, the turning point. His club, Sporting Lisbon, plays a friendly match against the Giants, Manchester United. And this 18-year-old kid, Ronaldo, doesn't just play well, he absolutely tears them apart. After the game, the veteran Man United players, these are legends, were so blown away they marched right up to their manager, Sir Alex Ferguson, and said just 2 words, sign him. And hey, if you're enjoying this explainer, make sure to subscribe because there's a lot more to come. But getting signed by a club like Manchester United? That wasn't the finish line. Nope. That was just the beginning of his most grueling transformation yet. This is where the boy really became a machine. At first, it was not smooth sailing. Over in England, the critics were tough. They called him a show pony, said he was too flashy, all style and no substance. But how did he respond? The only way he knew how. He worked. He stayed late after every single practice, just honing his skills. And the result? That flashy kid turned into a stone-cold goal machine, winning the Ballon d'Or for the world's best player and leading United to a Champions League trophy. You can really see his whole career path laid out like this. At Sporting, he was the raw prodigy, the kid with all the potential. At Manchester United, he went through that massive transformation. But to get to that next level, to achieve true, undeniable dominance, he made a world record move to Real Madrid. And that's where he became a legend. At Real Madrid, his performance went from elite to just otherworldly. I mean, his goal-scoring numbers just exploded. He started shattering records that people thought would never be touched. For years, he was, for all intents and purposes, completely and utterly unstoppable. But here's the thing about being on top of the world. It comes with a heavy price. And the brighter that spotlight gets, the longer and darker the shadows it casts. This was the real price of his stardom. And the whole world, it just got split right down the middle. It was Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi. And this wasn't just some rivalry, it was like a clash of philosophies. Ronaldo was the product of obsession, of pure power. He was the ultimate athlete. Messi was seen as natural talent, as pure grace. He was the artist. You basically had to pick a side. The pressure was just off the charts. The media dissected his every move, often slapping him with the selfish label. Legal troubles popped up, which really tarnished his image. And on the field, there were these gut-wrenching, high-stakes losses that just gave the critics more ammunition. The dark clouds were definitely gathering. And so, for the very first time in his career, the whisper started to get louder. People genuinely started to ask the question, is he finished? Is this it? Has age finally caught up to him? But those people, they forgot something really, really important about Cristiano Ronaldo. He feeds on doubt. So what happened next wasn't just a comeback, it was a victory that was supposed to be impossible. Picture this, the Euro 2016 final. Portugal, the massive underdogs, are playing against the host nation, France. Just 25 minutes into the biggest game of his life, disaster. Ronaldo, their captain, their hero, goes down with a bad injury. He's carried off the field in tears. The dream looks dead, but it wasn't. He limps to the sideline and basically becomes a second coach. He's shouting, he's directing, he's firing up his team with this insane passion. And then, in the 109th minute, the impossible happens. Portugal scores, and they win. That trophy, it wasn't just about winning a championship for his country. Not even close. It was redemption. It was the final, definitive answer to every single critic, every doubter, and every hardship he had ever faced in his entire life. And that's the key to this whole thing, isn't it? Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't born the greatest player in the world. Sure, talent opened the door for him, but it was his obsessive choice, the choice to work harder, to push further, to never ever be satisfied. That's what made him immortal. He chose this every single day. So when you look back, from that skinny kid on a forgotten island to a global icon, his journey proves something so powerful. It's not about where you start. It's about the obsession that gets you to the finish line. And maybe the fact that he had to fight for every single inch of his success is exactly what makes his story so damn unforgettable.